Welcome back, family, to Gamecocks Hoops with Coop, where our mission is simply to grow the game of women's basketball, starting with our Lady Gamecocks. And today, I want to walk through something that gets misunderstood nationally, even though us Gamecock fans already see it clearly, and that is why South Carolina, even sitting behind UConn, UCLA in the net rankings, is still in prime position. That's right, prime position to compete with and beat those teams when it matters most in March. Nobody on this channel needs to be convinced that South Carolina belongs at the top of women's college basketball. That's already established. But what people outside of Columbia continue to debate whether South Carolina can get past those teams like UConn, who many see as a runaway favorite this season, or UCLA, who has climbed quickly into the national spotlight. And the answer to that question isn't found in hype. It's found in résumé, and that's where net rankings come in. Through the first 15 weeks of the season, South Carolina is 25-2 with an 11-1 record in SEC play. And I want to slow down right there because records without context don't tell the full story, and context is everything when we're talking about tournament basketball. The two losses on our résumé, one is a last-second shot at a neutral site playing Texas, and the other is an overtime loss on the road at Oklahoma, which tells you immediately this team has not been exposed or outclassed. They've been tested in hostile environments, and they just came up short. And outside of those two moments, South Carolina has been absolutely perfect, including just recently another road win at LSU last week, which marked the 18th straight win in that series and pushed Carolina to 11-1 in conference play. When the first net rankings were released back in December, South Carolina was slotted at number 6 nationally and 3rd in the SEC. And for several weeks, that number didn't change, even as the Gamecocks kept stacking wins. And that's important because net rankings don't react emotionally. It waits for a full body of work to take shape. Then our Lady Gamecocks climbed as high as number 2 and slid briefly. And now, after the most recent update, we sit at number 3 overall behind UConn and UCLA. Now, let's talk about why net matters so much in this discussion, because this isn't like an AP poll or the coaches poll, and it isn't about reputation. The net is the primary evaluation tool used by the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee, and it's built on two pillars that translate directly to March basketball. Number 1, team value index, and number 2, the adjusted net efficiency. Team value index looks at who you beat, where you beat them, and how strong your schedule is, while the adjusted net efficiency looks at how consistently and how well you perform in those games once quality opponents and locations are factored in. And the reason this matters is because the net doesn't reward teams for avoiding competition. It rewards teams for standing up to it over time. And that's why quadrant breakdowns tell us such a powerful story for our Lady Gamecocks, because not all wins weigh the same. Because our Lady Gamecocks are 7-2 in quad 1 games with wins over Southern Cal on a neutral floor in Los Angeles. We beat Duke in Las Vegas at the Players Era Championship. Louisville on the road. We beat Texas, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee in Columbia. And again, just recently went on the road to Baton Rouge and beat LSU. The only quad 1 losses coming on the road at a neutral site versus Texas and away at Oklahoma. In both games, our Lady Gamecocks was right there in it to the end, because there's a difference between losing and being outplayed. Our Lady Gamecocks 7-0 against quad 2 opponents with wins over Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi State at home, Florida, Auburn, and South Florida on the road. They're 2-0 against quad 3 teams with road wins over Arkansas, Texas A&M, and they're 9-0 versus quad 4 teams. And what that tells you is this team doesn't play down to the competition. They handle their business, and consistency matters when you're talking about tournament survival. In fact, our Lady Gamecocks are one of only 3 teams in the entire country with at least 14 wins over quad 1 and quad 2 opponents. The other two, UCLA and Texas. And that's not something you stumble into. That's intentional scheduling, meeting, discipline, execution, because our legendary coach Don Staley has never been interested in building a resume that looks good early and fades away late. She's always built schedules that force growth before March arrives. Now, this is when the conversation shifts to matchups, because when people see UConn or UCLA at the top, they immediately assume separation. But the net doesn't suggest separation, it suggests tiers. And South Carolina is in the same tier because of how they win and what travels in tournament basketball. UConn brings experience, spacing, and execution. UCLA brings size, physicality, balance, but our Lady Gamecocks bring elite defense, rebounding, depth, and the ability to control pace. And those things translate in any gym against any opponent and on any night. And if the Gamecocks defend the way they're capable of, finish possessions, and play with poise, they've shown all season there's no matchup they can walk into thinking they cannot win. Not because of arrogance, but because preparation shows up when the lights are brightest. Respect everybody, fear nobody, because the resume already says our Lady Gamecocks belong, and the net confirms it. As we look ahead, the upcoming schedule offers more quad 1 opportunities, with a road trip to Alabama on tomorrow and a home matchup with Ole Miss, with College Game Day coming to Columbia. And I want to ask you another question here. As we move towards the end of this video, do you see the games as pressure or opportunity? Because great teams don't chase moments, they stack them. And we have been stacking them all season long. So when the national conversation starts crowning favorites early, understand this: our Lady Gamecocks aren't trying to convince anyone. They're good, and they're letting the work speak for them. And the net is listening. And if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, leave a comment down below letting me know how you think we would match up against those teams above us in the net ranking. Talk to me, I talk back. And make sure you subscribe if you're interested in growing the game of women's basketball, starting with our very own Lady Gamecocks. Y'all be blessed. Go Gamecocks.